Welcome to DAX Wednesdays, our bi-weekly video episode on DAX formulas and how to use them.
In today's episode of DAX Wednesdays, we're going to have a look at a DAX function called TOPN, which belongs to the table manipulation family of DAX functions. Let's switch to Power BI for the demonstration. Over here, we have a data model ready in which we have all the teams that play in the top 5 leagues in Europe, namely in France, England, Germany, Italy, and Spain. We have also listed the number of points that they won in the last season, in the just concluded season of 2023-24. For instance, PSG last season finished on 76 points, whereas in England, Man City finished on 91 points. In the report view, we have these visuals already created in which we can see over here a table. Over here, we can see the number of points, or should I say the sum of points of all the 20 teams that played in the English Premier League, in Ligue 1, in the Bundesliga, Serie A, and La Liga in Spain. You can see in France and Germany, the sum of points is slightly below than which we observe in England, Italy, and Spain, because France and Germany only have 18 teams playing in their first league or the Premier League, whereas in England, Italy, and Spain, we have 20 teams playing in their championship. We also have a visual where we can see this line graph with values for England, Spain, Italy, Germany, and France. We also have this map visual where we can observe values shown as bubbles with a tooltip where we can check the value or the sum of points of the 20 teams that played in La Liga, for instance. Now, what does the top n DAX function lets you do? The top n DAX function will let you check or verify what is the sum of points for the top 5 teams, or should I say that the 5 teams that ended in the top 5 of their league, individual league in England or France. So if I were to add, let's say, a new measure over here, let's call it top 10 points. So using this DAX function, we'll be calculating points of the top 10 teams in each of these 5 leagues. We'll be using the calculate DAX function. I have created a separate video on this DAX function. I will request you to check that out by clicking on the link on the top right over here. Now we'll be using the expression which is sum, asking us for a column name. So we'll be using the points column in the leagues table. We add a comma. Now, as you can see, calculate is going to take a filter expression. This is where we'll be using our top n DAX function. Let's see, what does top n takes in as arguments? The top n, firstly, it will take the n value, which is what is the number of top rows that we want in our selection. So in this case, since it's top 10, we'll be putting in 10. We put a comma. It's now asking us for the table, so we put in leagues, and we have an optional argument by which we can order the results, order by. So we'll be putting in the column points. So we'll close this bracket. This is what a DAX function looks like. Over here, as you can see, the measure has been added and it has no errors in it. We will add this measure now in the table visual by selecting this element, and as I can see, Power BI has returned us the total of the top 10 teams in England, in France, in Germany. Now what happens if I add this measure in this visual, the line graph visual? As you can see, it has added this second graph which represents the number of points made by the top 10 teams. I can do the same thing by adding our measure in the map visual, but it will be used as a tooltip. So if I were to click on the bubble of France, you'll see it has returned me the value of the top 10 teams as the tooltip. Now this is the one way in which you can use the top n DAX function. Now I'm going to show you another way in which we can use this DAX function. If I to click on this DAX function, let's see over here, we are not only restricted with 10. For instance, I can change it to 1. Let's see what happens. So the individual visuals have been updated by the change that we have made in our DAX function. So right now it has given us the points made by the top team that finished in, for instance, in England, it was Manchester City, as we saw earlier, that had 91 points, PSG with 76 points, and they won the championship. I can do something similar like top 3. And as you can see, the visuals get updated. In the map visual, we can see the total number of points made by the top 3 teams is 204, and something similar over here. So this is how you can update the numbers. But instead of doing this, there's an easier way to update this DAX function and choosing the number that we want. I'll show you how it is done. Over here, we need to create another table using this option of enter data. I'll click on it. I will name the column, let's say, number of teams. And as you saw in our DAX function, we are changing the values from top 10 to top 1, top 3. So we'll be putting only those whole numbers that we want to put in our DAX function. So I'll put 1, I'll put 3 over here, put 5, 10, 15. So these are the selections that we'll be making later on. So I will click on load now, and you'll see this table now has been added with the column name of number of teams. So we can even rename this, let's say, to n value. So the table name has been updated. I'll put in a slicer over here just to show you what we will be doing later on with this new entity or new table that we have created. I'll click on this element, and this is not the manner in which we want the slicer to be represented. So we'll go in formatting, we'll go to slicer settings, and we'll change the style and options. We'll choose list. So that way, yes, this is the way we wanted our slicer to look like. Now if you remember, we were updating this number every time, different number of teams to be included in our DAX function. So rather than doing that, we have another option where we can use another DAX function called selected value. I have already made a video on it. I will request you to click on the link at the top right over here to know more in detail about how to use selected values. I'll be changing the DAX measure name to, let's say, top points. And instead of 3, I'll be using that DAX function called selected value. Now, which arguments does selected value take? It takes in column name. So the column name that we're going to enter over here is the n value number of teams, because this is the selection that we're going to make in the slicer over here. So I'll choose this n value number of teams. I will close this bracket. Now, if I were to click on enter, you'll see this measure has been updated. Now what happens if I have to click on, let's say, 1 in the slicer? By clicking on the 1 in the slicer, the other visuals have automatically updated itself with the values of top points. So for instance, in the table, we'll see it has returned us values of the top team in the league that season. It has also updated the graph as well as the map visual. If I have to click on 3, you'll see this column has been updated automatically. I click on 5, again you'll see these 3 visuals have been updated automatically by the selection that we made over here. So this is the 2 ways in which you can use the top n DAX function. Let me know in the comments below of what you thought about this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.